Today on American Female Serial Killers, we have Faye Della Wilson Copeland. Faye Della Copeland was born Faye Della Wilson on August 4th, 1921, and she lived until December 23rd, 2003. Faye and her husband, Ray Copeland, became, at the ages of 69 and 76, respectively, the oldest couple ever sentenced to death in the United States. They were convicted of killing 5 drifters at their farm in Mooresville, Missouri, and when her sentence was commuted to life in prison in 1999, Faye Copeland was the oldest woman on death row. Ray Copeland was born in Oklahoma in 1914, and while he was growing up, his family moved around, struggling to survive during the Great Depression. As a young man, he began a life of petty crime, stealing livestock and forging checks until he was caught and served a year in jail. After his release in 1940, he met Faye Wilson, and they married soon after. I wasn't able to find much, if any, information about Faye before this point. They quickly had several children, and thanks to Ray's criminal reputation, had to keep moving their family around while money was tight. During this time, Ray served several jail sentences until he finally came up with a plan to improve his illegal money-making methods so as to be undetected. Because Ray was well known as a fraud, he could not buy and sell cattle on his own, and to get around this problem, he began to pick up drifters and hobos and employed them as farmhands on his property in Mooresville. He would take his employees to the market where they would use his bad checks to buy the cattle for him. After the transactions, Ray would sell the cattle quickly and the farmhands would disappear without a trace. For a while, the scam worked, but the police caught up to him and Ray was once again sent to jail. Upon his release, he resumed his criminal activities, but this time he made sure that his farmhands were not as connected to him as before. This went on until a previous employee, Jack McCormick, called the Crime Stoppers hotline in August of 1989 to tell them about the Copelands. McCormick claimed that he had seen human bones on their farm while he was employed there and also claimed that Ray had tried to kill him. Police were initially skeptical of these claims, but after checking Ray's criminal record, they decided to investigate further. In October of 1989, they visited the Copeland farm armed with a search warrant, dozens of officers, and a team of bloodhounds. Initially, they did not find any incriminating evidence, but after further searching, the bodies of 3 young men were discovered in a nearby barn. As the search continued, more bodies were found, all killed with the same weapon, a .22 caliber Marlin rifle that was later found in the Copeland home. It became clear that Ray had killed his employees in the pursuit of money, but Faye's actions were initially questioned. When she went to trial in November of 1990, her defense mounted a picture of her as a dutiful wife and mother who had endured beatings and general ill treatment from her husband. However, the jury convicted her of 4 counts of murder and 1 count of manslaughter, and she was given 4 death sentences for the murders and life without parole for the manslaughter. In March 1991, Ray went on trial and was convicted of 5 counts of murder and sentenced to death. Upon hearing that Faye had been sentenced to death by lethal injection as well, Ray showed no emotion and replied, "Well, those things happen to some, you know." Ray died of natural causes on October 19, 1993, and his body was cremated. Faye's attorneys appealed her conviction, contending that the jury had not been allowed to hear evidence that Ray had abused her for years. On August 6 of 1999, Judge Ortree Smith overturned the death sentence, but let the conviction stand and commuted her sentence to 5 consecutive terms of life without parole. After having a stroke in 2002, she was released on medical parole and died at her home in Chillicothe, Missouri the next year, on December 23, 2003.